Thanks again, Roy. So, unbeknownst to me, and I thought I would open this up, I'd like to say thank you again to Clark Chateau, Montana Open Air, the people at the Butte Silverbow Archive, and all the people that I've met in the city of Butte for their hospitality and generosity in making me feel welcome and giving me endless things to write about. So I thought I'd open up tonight with a poem from my second book, All This Divide, God's Judgment. What if we've gotten the judgment of God wrong all this time? Light, implacable, yes, that works its way surely across the narrow valley, illuminating every last blade of grass, every corner and every closet of every house, finally and rightly. All that sure gold light. Yet it doesn't burn. No spotlight or interrogator's lamp, no focusing lens held up to sizzle. No, but something more like the easy light of a barn, and God's judgment less cruel than we'd imagined. Something more like each of us showing our beloved cantankerous heifer at the fair, whom we have so carefully washed and trimmed, bedded in sweet straw, not set for condemnation at last, but to show off and display our hard effort, even if we, prideful, stand before the judge saying, "Look at how many hours I have given to this sweet-faced, sway-hipped Guernsey before you. Doesn't her coat gleam? Her liquid eyes, the transparent and lovely stretch of her ear?" It's in this light, God, humbler than we'd guessed, kinder too, with both seriousness and a smile runs his old hand along the haunch of our beasts, takes pleasure in the clean shape. And all the evil and hard words we'd feared were only our own voice in the dark stall of our hearts, fed and watered with their heavy bucket of doubt. All the while, God's judgment of our work is done with gentleness, pointing out the best parts, saying, "My, fine animal you've brought, I bet this one took all your effort." I know, I've been there myself. God telling what a good job we've done, even if there are one or two others ahead of us in line. So this is sort of some of the kinds of poems that I've written. It's like where I've coming from. And then immediately after my most recent book of poems, Picturing, I fell into like a 2.5-year obsessional research project about the life and work of Andy Warhol. And I decided, because it's poetry and who cares, that I would attempt to write a book-length monologue in the imagined voice of Andy Warhol talking about his life and his work. And it's still, the manuscript is done, and now some trusted readers are going through it. But this poem opens it up. It's called True, because Andy Warhol was famously slippery. Like, whatever you wanted to say about him, that's what got said about him. And he denied nor confirmed anything about his life. True. True as in sound is true. My name is saleable. It's taking me places. It's sellable. True as in singable. A pop song is faithful to its words regardless of who does the singing. It's too good to be true. As an echo is, as a copy of its source, it holds its shape. An echo is true. An echo is true. Is an echo. And I thought I would read one more from the manuscript so you can kind of see the talky nature of the work. Things you should know about Andy Warhol is that he was a compulsive shopper. QVC first aired in November 24th of 1986, and the first item sold was a shower radio for $11.49. This is the kind of life that I lead, looking up facts that none of you want to know. And Andy Warhol died in February of 1987 at the age of 58, just less than 3 months after QVC aired. Had I lived, I would have loved QVC. Don't judge me like I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I'm dead. Today, I would have been 103. I lived to shop. I said when someone died, I just imagined they had gone to Bloomingdale's, haunting the aisles for deals. But now, you don't have to. I mean, you still have to die, but not leave your home at all when you leave your body behind. Remote control in one hand, phone in the other. I'm calling right now. The operator says, "Spirit, are you there?" Yes, and I would like to buy 5 of the zirconium-crusted handbags, 3 in teal and 2 in green. If you haven't sold out, I'll take 2 more in red. Take my order, take my card, though I'm not sure about delivery. I'm dead. I'm calling to let you know I'm here for it. I'm here, and it's all for sale. So I've been working in this really talky, expansive, imaginative place, and then I came here and I initially proposed another obsessional research project centered around the late 1850s, early 1860s, sort of Montana's territorial reckoning and all sorts of things that were happening there. And so in that swirl and vortex and flux, I thought about, there's so many people in the past that we don't have pictures of. And I remember said, "Oh, do you have a picture?" And someone said, "No." So the title of this poem is called Picture No. A life without image, or without image to be passed on. Memory, a thing 2 people make. Memory, a relay, the baton, a horse gone paceless. See how we used to? Of course not. You can't imagine it. The tale's teller gone home, granite hand pointing upward on a grave's relief. The runner finishes the race alone. That one's more abstract or lyric, and so poetry has this wide range, and so when people say, "I hate poetry," I'm like, maybe you haven't heard the right genre of poetry for you. Kind of like no one says, "I hate music." We hate some kinds of music. And this is another poem I composed while I was here in the start of that project. If you were at the archive talk, you've heard a draft of this, and I call them all drafts. They're not finished poems yet. Anyone can hear it. And this imagines like the lives of so many women who came west for new lives on the frontier without asking the question, what did they give up? What or who did they leave behind? Anyone can hear it. I have a secret, say the grasses, all day to the sun and cloud. I hear it clear as the horse's hooves beat the trail, chanting, "Tell it, tell it, tell it, tell it." I let its repetition sway me. Of secrets, I have 2. One bundled in the trunk behind the wagon's bench. The other is, "Dearest sister, I've often noticed how the swallow rises and falls into the grass as if meaning to embroider the air, if God only let it. The dress that's come with me is blue wool. Before I left, I stitched P.S. 121 verse 7 into the sleeve. With every mile comes new names. Compass plant, Culver's root, arrow wood. Instead of gaiety, I learn them. I learn." Thanks. Psalm 121:7 is, "The Lord will keep you from all harm, and he will watch over your life." So 2 poems in, and I was like, I'm done, I'm out. And I abandoned it, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I had all this time and space, and so I started taking a lot of walks. And I wondered if the things that I noticed on my walks or things that were happening around me, instead of looking to sort of a research place or such an intensely focused, like tight, compact thing, what would happen if I let things sprawl out? And so this is called Don't We All. As a miner pans for gold in the stream, sorry, I was just at Bannock Days, I listened and I sifted conversations that happened in public. Don't we all? The neighbor upstairs is paying his water bill over the phone. Says, I call every month and you never explain it right. Below, I'm sweeping the kitchen because writing won't come. Can't settle in. If I can only settle in, I tell myself, I'm not explaining this right. So it's another chore. Through the ceiling, the neighbor humps with satisfaction as if this month he finally fixes it. Don't we all want to fix it, make the bill go away, the cancer stop its spread, the endless weeds of this life to quit popping up? It seems so unlikely, my old eyes and the world scraping past, and I barely have words to describe it. Longing is wild sentiment, even as we stagnate. The murky skies done letting down rain. The clouds hover over the building like my neighbor's lingering humps. What's left? The clean kitchen, an empty July morning, the day, a laughter of birds, waiting to break over our heads. One of the great things about long residency is time becomes this vast luxury until you're at the end of it, and then it's panic. But we deal often in artists who are away from their spouses or their loved ones or their children or their pets or their housemates. You do this weird thing where everything is electrifying and new and exciting, and you're also like homesick. And so this poem is called Life is So Big. This life is so big, I wouldn't want to sleep, because if you listen to the doctors, you'll miss a third of your life in bed. Today is one day I am getting to know, and tomorrow is a day I don't. On a hike together, I said to you, the other side of this lake is our past, and we aren't returning. Everyone I pass in the streets is complaining into their phones. Where are you? You never said you hated her. How much will that cost? Since everyone's world is public, then let this be too. Nothing's gone as planned except my affection for the cats in the streets and how this city happily slouches into ruin. You won't believe the century-old door I stumbled across with its metal address still on it, all painted over in green and peeling in the sun. There's snow in the mountains, and I am happy. Our lives are so big, we share them on speakerphone. Your words so urgent, I will text you back from anywhere. Last night, the man at the bar scribbled on a napkin and left. I couldn't help it. I looked. He wrote, F you, Mark, in blue ink. We'll never know. In every town I visit, another version of myself lives on like a wind-up toy in my imagination. In the streets, I haven't seen one pizza box, only hundreds of pigeons. This city, like you, is in my blood. I can't wait to introduce you. When you get here, I'll put my head in your lap and fall asleep, because finally there is nothing to miss. Okay, this is your on base. This poem is called Flowerless. Megan's going to help me with another poem tonight, so Flowerless. Every morning I think the lupine are beautiful, but a disaster, dropping little purple bombs on the table and the floor. Floral antithesis, alpine uproar. June morning light, 8 a.m. in Uptown, the sellers arrange their wares. You will eat those greens if you buy them. Sellers arranging their wares just so you will buy them. No, they won't go bad because you are becoming the person you've always wanted to be just by being here. your future, antithesis of the self, Saturday morning. It's easy to forgive the backup beeping of vans and the dogs off leash. The world is certain and kind. But it isn't the job of this poem to preserve it. The world is blooming with what's to come. Summer, the flat green expanse of park, its pool of chlorinated blue, and you. You're here, ready to embrace it. Walk past the floral stall, and you'll never regret how my morning turns with beauty and irritation. Flowerless, you'll imagine the world with a different kind of weather. So I'm not entirely free of obsessional research and casual chance. At the World Museum of Mining, there's a stack of old papers, and it says $2 a section if you can determine what a section would look like. And they fished out a section from the Anaconda Standard, 1927. And if you don't know, the Anaconda Standard was published in 1898 until it merged with the Butte Miner in 1928, and then became the Montana Standard. And so this poem, one of the headlines in that section that I got from 1927 was "Elks Will Dance Tomorrow Night." So I did the stupidest thing I could do with that title. It isn't solstice or even a phase of the moon, but maybe a quality of the lake itself. Kidney-shaped, glacial-fed, more than 100 feet deep. Even a rumor of a steamship sunk at center. Though how it could be packed up the alpine meadow remains a mystery. So not by moon phase, but still by moonlight and mournful loon call, the first elk descends through the screen of white spruce. Her even-toed hoof shyly marks the mud of the shore. By the spectral red eye of the loon, the elks begin to dance. The night curtain of lake vapor parts, 2, 5, 8 sisters in all, a dance at first so subtle, it's easy to miss. The choreographed twitch of ear, the wrinkling of muzzles all down the line. Then they syncopate and shake and turn their rumps while standing on the tips of their toes. They process ankle bones popping, natural castanets to the shoreline cadence. Once, twice around the lake, then among their chirping and mews, they are gone, exiting back to wherever they came from. The lake water rushes with applause. Then a pause as the loon tucks its bill into the feathers of its back and naps. The elks, even though you've seen them, are a chimera, a story you will tell your children who will call it fabrication. A breeze through the spruce on a lonely night. This poem is more serious, and I did want to give a content warning in case anyone wants to get up and leave the room about gendered violence against women in this poem. I also wanted to give you an opportunity ahead of time to leave the room as I'm about to sing a couple lines very poorly. And I love reading other writers because I can see, it's carefully edited and sculpted, but you can see the turns of their thought and how they make connections. And it's sort of a joy because every writer's mind is sort of its own thing. So this poem is called Sebastia. So many times when I'm walking, I suddenly come to, and the city springs up around me. how each building has its own charm and changeability. This one, a foundation of sandstone, this other, yellow brick and its cladding of cool granite, and this old affair with its new facade. You see how architecture can be geologic, not just digging down, but side by side. In Palestine, I saw the sun-bleached ruins of Sebastia, once called Samaria. Every layer revealed a history of subjugation. Israel, Babylon, Rome, and on and on. And in one chamber, the purported burial site of the beheaded John the Baptist. Even now, old violence mixes with new. The placard says the invading army was a partial economic boon. You see how I want to turn away? How we've gone from walking to thinking about the past and how we put it together? How we've missed so much and how hard it is to be present, to live in the and of now. Our thinking, a series of tunnels we burrow into. I wish the world wouldn't intrude. On the street, an intoxicated woman rocks on a bench, talking to her neighbor. Do you know he slept with my daughter? You know she was a child and he was a grown-ass man, you know? I didn't. But now I do, and I want to resist the urge to avoid what's difficult. The August heat makes the buildings gleam. The sky's cloudless, and the dumpsters give off a garbagey scent, thrilling the flies. An old man with a crushed ball cap smiles, throws out his arms and welcome. His silver boombox, plugged into the county building, blares the four tops. Baby, I need your lovin'. And it's almost enough to make the day brand new. How Herod Antipas must have felt watching his stepdaughter, who was his niece, dance for the dinner guests. How amid the applause he told her, ask me for anything you want and I'll give it. Old monkey's paw in a new hand, desire not knowing how it summons ruin. Across the street the woman nods on her bench, her words mixing with the song. Some say it's a sign of weakness for a man to beg. He was 43 years old. Then weak I'd rather be. She was 13. You know it. You do. It's an old story. A man dancing with his borrowed power and a woman collapsing into sorrow. She feels half alive. He is lonely again. Layer on layer, side by side, and on. We build our lives even as time tumbles down. All right, so we'll do something a little cheerful. So this couple things you need to know. The Last Chance Tour train in Helena, Montana, which goes right past someone in the audience's house, which you can wave at or talk to them, has been in operation since 1954. The original golden cars are what I got to ride in. It's been in operation for 72 years. Henry Plummer was a prospector, lawman, and outlaw in the American West in the 1850s and 60s. And the poem The Highwayman was made famous in my childhood in the Canadian miniseries Anne of Green Gables, in which Anne Shirley recites it dramatically at the Sands Hotel, thus winning her love interest, Gilbert Blythe's standing ovation. I think that's all the notes you need for the poem. So anyway, that's the title. So anyway, the tour guide says Henry Plummer was the sheriff of Bannock, but a dubious one, though she doesn't use that word, dubious, which comes from the Latin dubium, or doubt. So Henry was a doubtful sheriff. That's not quite right. But dubious is also rooted in the word duo, as in of two minds. The sheriff was of two minds. That feels closer. of two minds in his person about both enforcing justice on the frontier and evading it himself. Two-minded, like the poet, while giving you the etymology of the word, is also thinking about a tour where they went on and how the small train with its golden cars navigated the streets of the capital city. I was on a tour. Henry Plummer was sheriff. This is a story where nothing goes as planned, though I and Henry certainly made some. One of the obsolete meanings of the word dubious is what evokes fear or dread, or at least suspicion for about what could happen next. In a novel, this would be called foreboding, but this is a poem, so don't count on the unreliable narration. Henry was sheriff when all the biggest gold shipments leaving Virginia City were robbed by road agents, aka highwaymen. Like that ballad by Richard Noyes that begins, "The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees," which is a perfect way for us to picture those road agents laying in wait and looting those shipments in the far wilderness of Montana. The gang was known as, ironically, the Innocents. Modern scholarship has its doubts about the early accounts. In other words, they are dubious about the source material. But I am getting ahead of myself. My intentions are being waylaid along the orderly path of writing I set out on. It turns out, and I hope this isn't a surprise to anyone at this point, that Henry, the sheriff, was the leader of the gang. I did my best. I'm sure Henry did as well. Imagine the stress enforcing the law and lining your own pockets at the same time. I know, but we don't have time for modern parallels. That's another train of thought. The tour is almost over, and I don't want to leave you hanging. What I wanted to tell you this whole time was that the tour guide said, and Plummer was met with Old West-style justice in the way they handled most things back then, which is another way to say strangulation with a rope and a short drop. But you can't say that now because there's so many children on the train. I thought I'd close with a book from my, with a book. Yeah, I'm going to close by reading my next book. With a poem from my final book, my most recent Picturing, that has a lot to do with visual art and like the lineages that artists and people who respond to art possess. When I was in the first grade, my first grade teacher handed out pieces of paper with squiggles on them, just a couple of squiggles, and she said, "Go ahead, complete the drawing." So we had some worms and some sailboats, and I drew a waiter with his arm up holding a tray in a striped shirt like this on a wharf restaurant serving people drinks. So this poem suggests all the ways of writing and drawing and art and music that we take in and we participate in either as makers or hearers or viewers. And it's called "I Want to Finish a Line I Did Not Begin." I want to finish a line I did not begin, to extend with my own hand what I did not first put down, to draw, to write the line, to enter into it, to become part of what I will never know the beginning of, will not know the end to. A simple thread of charcoal or pencil or ink put into movement. We move with its curves, delighted by its carelessness for what comes next. If every line isn't beautiful, then none are. Whatever the motion we begin, we are drawn away from our guilt and our guises, this line passing through our bodies, surely as air into our lungs. And out again. It may not stay, so let me breathe what's to come with generosity. I will never be able to bend this line into a weapon, though I love power and security as much as you do. But this loop, this only says forward. It's not my line, or not my line alone. The bloom's white petals last only a while, each petal sighing magnolia, magnolia, magnolia as it falls. The fleck of our ego no bigger than a grain of pollen. Let the honeybee attend it. Do you see? Every time I attempt to close, there is a new gate we must pass through. In every story, there comes a point I can see no further. Given the line, will never finish. Thank you. Okay. I'm just like, oh, they clapped, so they want me to get done now. Great. So this is the title poem for my first book, Wilderness Kingdom, which won the High Plains Book Award in 2020, which is sponsored by the Billings Public Library. And I was on residency in Taos, New Mexico for the Helene Wurlitzer Foundation in 2020, back before COVID vaccines, back in New Mexico with rolling lockdowns. And so there were like 12 residents. We all had our individual casitas, but we could not gather in public. And when I got word that the award had come through, because they had to cancel the awards banquet and the speeches and all the glamorous things that they do for their winners, my guest, a composer, set out a table on his lawn, and we did extension cords with a lamp, and we had a little celebration party. It was such a lovely experience, both from the High Plains people and from the residency, that even when you're not supposed to have community, you find ways to make connections. And so this poem is called Wilderness Kingdom. It's for my husband, Justin Taylor, and it opens with an epigraph, not an epitaph, hopefully, an epigraph by Georgia O'Keeffe about the mountain Paternal. God told me if I painted it enough, I could have it. And that's where her ashes are scattered today. Wilderness Kingdom. God didn't make me a painter so much as a lover of them, to ache, to possess what lies within the frame, but not all the hours outside it, as if I could capture where I grew up. Valley with its cincture of snow, the slopes dark-pinned and white-collared, the granite, a cistern for winter's cold to drop into. As a young man, I longed for love along the rivers, and wept because of that love in me. The voices of saints and ancestors dead and distant as I wanted desire to be. Consolation. Water against red willow, no need for other promises. On the banks, with the sound of water, all is possible. And now, this desert town, love surprising me a lifetime later. I put my arm around your neck, hoping we'll be mistaken for drunk. This town and its beautiful filigree of Friday night yells, the blaring of the moment's chosen song. You love somehow elementally, in stone and water and open views, fields, in breaking bits of wood to keep the fire gold without counting the cost. This no-account town we won't be cowed by tonight. The boys and their bluster beneath a congregation of stars, as if we drew closer to the sound. The dim bar's mirror that lost its luster before I found my way in, my way to reconcile. No smoke these days, but its ghost, palpable like the violence of boys. It's Friday night, and a fist needs something to do other than knuckle the pool's felt. Snapdragon, duck egg, slow smolder of garbage in a heap. This place, no land but to land in. The heat of violence mostly kept to the parking lot on late summer nights. How men stop talking about desire, then dive in. Faggot, going off like gunshot to provoke rather than wound. Sure as a push, a shoulder, or a grab in another's girl, the sun seeps into the asphalt, felt in dark as angry, wavering lines. How intimacy is always a body crushable into another body. And at the start of want, no one minds the gluttony. all my life. I've wanted love to make me wise and hurt less. But it isn't true. I have saved nothing. The way your name illuminates the undergrowth, and if late enough and quiet enough, even the toad in the yard will mouth the stars in their black pond. The rubber tires of trucks popping in the parking lot's gravel, slowing past as we make our way. The world we inherited and the world it might become, Western or the West. Best friends, boyfriends, brothers, the late song still strong in the truck cab, muddling distinctions. Friday night, and if you want music, you have to pay for it. If you want to fight, it's free. We manage, though, to slip out of reach of the weekend and good time threats of violence along the thicket of coyote fence, picket of scrabbled wood. After 23 years, it's still a shock to call you husband. And if this was our honeymoon, then let me call you husband in the heat of this small desert town's summer dark. Let's not be mistaken for anything other than men who learn to touch without the need to wound. I was afraid. Along the river then so long ago, the sounds of snow melt over river stone. And if I had learned to let this love have its way, I would have known then. The whole world was filled with longing. And it is, and every other thing. The car door closing, the sun's not yet up, and the engine turning over. As far as I am able to go, I will go with you.